You have asked life for many things, but there is one thing you have refused to grant yourself. You have asked for opportunity, for wealth, for progress, for respect. Yet deep inside, in the secret place where no one hears but you, there is a quiet sentence that cancels every request. I do not truly deserve it. As long as that sentence rules your heart, you can chase success for 50 years and never catch it. You may brush against it, you may taste it for a moment, but it will slide through your fingers because your own mind will not allow you to keep what you have not decided you are worthy to hold. This is the truth most men never face. They speak of luck, of unfairness, of destiny, of others being chosen. They talk as though life stood at a distance handing out fortunes at random. They never look closely enough to see that life is always taking its orders from within. The world has not been withholding your good. You have. You have been the judge who hears your request and stamps it with a quiet refusal. Not because you are weak or foolish, but because you have been trained to see yourself as less than the thing you want. A man can work from dawn until midnight, but if the thought beneath his labor is, I am not worthy of abundance, he will find a way to sabotage the harvest. He will hesitate when boldness is required. He will accept less than he could negotiate. He will overlook chances that stand in front of him because they must be meant for someone else. He will waste profit, ruin discipline, choose companions who drain him, and call it fate. It is not fate. It is a secret belief directing his hand like an unseen master. Look honestly at your own life. How many times have you stepped back when you should have stepped forward? How many times have you lowered your price, your standard, or your voice because some inner voice whispered, "Who do you think you are?" How many times have you walked away from an open door and then told yourself it was not meant to be, when the real truth was, I did not believe I belonged there? You have blamed circumstances long enough. The battlefield has never been outside. It has always been in the thought you hold about your own worth. You may say, but I have failed, I have made mistakes, I have wasted time. How can I feel worthy? You are confusing worthiness with perfection. They are not the same. Worthiness is not earned by never falling. It is claimed by deciding that you are more than your falls. Every man has stumbled. Every great achievement stands on a floor of broken attempts. The question is not, have you failed? The question is, what story did you attach to your failure? If you decided, this proves I am small, you change yourself. If you decided, this proves I need more strength, more skill, more discipline, you freed yourself to grow. You have been taught, perhaps since childhood, that to think highly of yourself is pride, that to desire more is greed, that to believe you are worthy is arrogance. So you learn to shrink your expectations to fit other people's comfort. You learn to apologize for your desires. You learn to dress your dreams in small language so you would not disturb those who had given up on theirs. And after enough years of bending, you confuse the bent posture with humility. It is not humility. It is self-betrayal. Humility is not thinking less of your value. It is recognizing that your value comes with a duty to grow, to contribute, to rise to the level of the gifts given to you. You cannot build a palace on a foundation that says, I should live in a shack. You cannot attract loyalty, respect, or opportunity while secretly believing you are unfit to receive them. You may fool the world for a while, but you cannot fool your own subconscious mind. It listens not to your speeches, but to your deepest convictions. It hears every time you say, I am always the one left behind. Nothing ever works for me. Men like me do not get those chances. It takes those statements as orders and arranges your perception, your decisions, and your reactions to fulfill them. Decide now to stop giving such orders. Decide now to stop using your own tongue as a weapon against yourself. The first act of a man who intends to change his life is to change the way he speaks to his own soul. You have allowed others to insult you, perhaps, but the harshest insults have been the ones you whispered inwardly about your own worth. You have called yourself lazy, weak, hopeless, foolish, cursed. You have forgotten that every such phrase plants itself like a seed in the soil of the mind. The harvest has arrived, not as punishment from outside, but as obedience from within. Consider the man who walks into a room believing he has nothing to offer. He speaks softly, if at all. He avoids the eyes of those he admires. He nods when he should question. He agrees when he should negotiate. He leaves having confirmed his belief. No one sees me, but understand what truly happened. It was not that the room conspired against him. It was that he sent no signal of worth from within. He moved as if apologizing for his presence. His manner told the world, "You may overlook me." And the world, always busy, simply obeyed. Now picture another man entering the same room with a different inward sentence. My ideas have value. My presence has weight. I respect myself, and I will conduct myself accordingly. He does not shout. He does not boast. He moves with calm. He looks others in the eye as an equal, neither above nor beneath. He listens carefully and speaks plainly. He does not rush to fill every silence with nervous talk. He allows his words to be few and firm. Before long, people turn toward him when decisions are discussed. His opinion is sought. His name is remembered. Has the world changed? No. The inner verdict changed, and the outer world reflected it. You may protest, but they have advantages I do not. Perhaps they do. Perhaps they were born into better conditions, trained by wiser men, granted earlier opportunities. Yet I tell you plainly, none of those advantages can be used without an inner feeling of worth. Many have been given wealth and thrown it away. Many have been handed positions and collapsed under them. Many have had doors opened and fled from the threshold. External advantage without internal permission is wasted. The missing piece in your life is not another stroke of fortune. It is your own decision that you are worthy to use what you already have. The most dangerous poverty is not the poverty of coin. It is the poverty of belief. A poor man who knows his worth will use every small resource as seed. He will learn, ask, attempt, adjust, persist. His outer state may be humble, but his inner state is rich. He expects growth. He expects improvement. He expects that his effort, guided by intelligence and persistence, will bear fruit. That expectation colors his every action. Another man may possess more money, more connections, more comfort, but if he secretly believes he is undeserving, he will treat his advantages as accidents, not responsibilities. He will fear losing them instead of expanding them. He will waste them on proving his value to others instead of expressing it through his work. You must see now that the turning point is not out there. It is inside the thought. I am worth the life I wish to build. This is not idle flattery. It is a decision that carries weight. To say I am worthy is to accept that your days, your mind, and your abilities are too valuable to be squandered on trivialities. It means you will no longer tolerate habits that insult your own potential. It means you will no longer remain in associations that demand you shrink to fit into mediocrity. Worthiness is not a permission to be idle, it is a demand to be disciplined. Ask yourself what your life would look like if you truly believed you were worth the best you are capable of. Would you speak differently? Walk differently? Learn differently? Would you accept the same treatment from others? Would you remain in the same conditions without resistance? A man who knows his worth does not complain and stay. He decides and moves. He does not beg to be chosen. He chooses himself and begins the work that proves his choice was sound. He does not spend his days envying. He spends them building. But how do you arrive at such a belief when you have spent years thinking otherwise? You do not wait for a feeling to fall upon you like a mood. You build it as you would build strength in a muscle. You begin with small, deliberate acts of self-respect. You keep a promise to yourself and notice it. You complete a task you have long avoided and acknowledge it. You speak up once where you would have stayed silent and store that moment as evidence. In this way, step by step, you give your mind proof that you are a man who can be trusted with more. At the same time, you must uproot the lies you have quietly accepted about yourself. You have perhaps repeated judgments spoken over you by others, parents, teachers, companions who did not understand their own power. They may have called you slow, incapable, troublesome, unremarkable. You are not responsible for what they said. You are responsible for repeating it. Every time you echo such words in your own mind, you are volunteering for a prison they built. The key has always been in your hand. You can refuse to repeat them. You can replace them with conscious, deliberate statements that align with the man you intend to become. This is where the law of autosuggestion becomes your ally. Your subconscious mind is impressionable. It does not argue. It accepts and carries out the ideas that are mixed with feeling and repetition. If day after day you tell yourself, I am not enough, it does not debate you. It simply organizes your behavior to match. But if day after day you tell yourself with emotion and persistence, I am worthy of growth, of success, of abundance, and I will act accordingly, your subconscious accepts that as well. It begins to look for ways to prove you right. It notices possibilities it once ignored. It strengthens your courage at the very moments you used to retreat. Understand this clearly. You do not lie to yourself by saying you are worthy. You correct a lie that has been operating against you, that you are destined to remain small, to remain behind, to remain at the mercy of others' choices. The truth is that you have a mind capable of thought, a will capable of decision, a body capable of labor, and a spirit capable of growth. That alone grants you the right to reach. The rest is training. The man who acts as if he is worthy and supports that act with study, discipline, and persistence will rise above the man who spends his life waiting to feel worthy before beginning. From this moment on, your task is to treat your sense of worth as the cornerstone of everything you do. Before you make a decision, ask, is this how a man who respects himself would act? Before you speak, ask, is this how a man who believes in his future would speak? Before you accept any treatment, ask, is this in harmony with the value I have decided to place upon myself? These questions are not vanity, they are alignment. Each time you answer them with action, you lay another stone in the foundation of a new life. There is a life available to you in which you no longer sabotage your own progress, no longer shrink from the door that opens, no longer trade your time for cheap distractions, no longer bend your back to fit into places beneath you. In that life, you pursue your aims with a calm conviction that you are allowed to win, that you are built to improve, that you are meant to handle more than you handle now. You cannot step into that life while clinging to the belief that you are undeserving. One belief must die for the other to live. You have waited long enough for the world to announce your worth to you. It will not. The world only echoes what you whisper first. If you whisper weakness, it will send you tests you cannot pass. If you whisper unworthiness, it will send you chances you dare not take. But if you decide, here and now, I am worth the effort, the discipline, the patience required to claim the life I desire, you will find that the same world contains paths you could not see before. They were always there. The hidden door was not in the wall. It was in your own belief. The decision cannot remain a thought. It must begin to show itself in the smallest corners of your day. How you rise, how you dress, how you speak to yourself, how you do the work no one applauds. In those quiet places, away from the noise, you are telling your mind what you think of your own value. Make that message worthy of the man you intend to become. If you truly decide you are worth having the life you desire, your entire conduct must change. You cannot say, I am worthy, and then rise from bed as if nothing important depends on you. You cannot declare, I deserve abundance, and then drag yourself through your day like a man doing time instead of serving a purpose. Your behavior is the proof your mind believes. When there is a conflict between your words and your actions, your subconscious mind does not believe your words. It believes your actions. So if you mean to convince that inner judge that you are worthy, begin with the smallest, most practical thing, how you carry yourself through ordinary hours. A man who esteems himself does not wait for a feeling before he does what is necessary. He does not ask his mood for permission to work. He does not delay the important task until the last moment and then curse his circumstances. He moves with decision, not because every step is pleasant, but because he has accepted that his time and energy are too valuable to be wasted in hesitation. He knows that each day is a page in the record of his worthiness. He may not control what happens to him, but he absolutely controls whether he meets it as a man who believes in his own value or as one who does not. Begin to look at your habits as votes you cast for or against your own worth. When you keep a promise to yourself to rise at a certain hour, to complete a piece of work, to study, to train your body, you are casting a vote. I am worth keeping my word to. When you abandon that promise for the comfort of another hour in bed, another idle conversation, another lazy escape, you are casting a different vote. My word to myself does not matter. After thousands of such votes, do you wonder why your inner mind hesitates to grant you the feeling that you deserve more? It has watched you betray yourself in small things. It cannot yet trust you with large ones. If you wish to change that verdict, you do not begin by demanding great victories from yourself. You begin by choosing a few simple, clear standards and honoring them as if they were law. For example, when I decide upon a task for today, I will see it completed unless true necessity prevents it. Or, I will speak no more against myself, whether in jest or in anger. Or, I will set aside a portion of each day for the growth of my mind, and I will not negotiate with this time. These are not grand gestures. They are quiet contracts made in the counsel of your own conscience. Each time you honor them, you strengthen the belief. I am a kind of man who can be trusted with more. Your environment must be brought under the same law. A man who believes he is worth abundance does not live in conditions that constantly insult that belief. He may not yet have wealth, but he can have order. He may not occupy grand surroundings, but he can keep what he has in clean, deliberate arrangement. Disorder whispers to the mind, nothing here matters much. Order says, what I have is worth respecting, and so am I. You are affected more than you admit by what your eyes repeatedly see. A table piled with unfinished work, garments thrown carelessly, tools rusting in corners, unread books gathering dust. These are all silent messages of neglect. They teach you to treat your own time and resources lightly. Do not wait until you live in your dream conditions to behave as a man of worth. Behave as a man of worth where you are. Fold your garments carefully, even if no one sees. Arrange your workspace with intention, even if it is small and humble. Maintain your tools, whatever they may be, as if they are the instruments of a craftsman who takes pride in his duty. When you walk into such an environment each morning, you remind yourself, I care about what I touch. I care about what I am building. I care about the man who lives here. This care is not vanity, it is training. It shapes the way you approach everything else. The people you keep near you will either nourish or poison your growing sense of worth. Some individuals cannot tolerate the idea of you deciding you deserve more. Your new standards expose their complacency. They may mock your efforts, telling you not to take yourself so seriously, warning you that you will only be disappointed, advising you to be realistic, by which they mean stay as you are, so I do not have to examine my own life. If you continue to sit at their table, you will inhale their doubt until it becomes your own again. They do not do this because they're evil. They do it because your growth scares them. But if you allow their fear to rule you, you are choosing their comfort over your destiny. Seek company that holds you to your declared value. Even one person who believes you are capable of more, who expects you to keep your word to yourself, who speaks to you as if you have a future worth preparing for, is worth more than a crowd that invites you to drift. When you hear words such as, I understand you expect more from yourself. What have you done this week to honor that? Do not be offended. Be grateful. Such questions are a mirror that reminds you who you said you wanted to be. A man who believes he is worthy of a rich life does not surround himself with those who urge him to stay poor in thought, character, and effort. You must especially watch the way you speak about money and success. Many men poison their relationship to wealth by condemning it in others. They call every prosperous man lucky, dishonest, or selfish, and in doing so, they teach their own mind. To possess wealth is to be like these men I despise. The subconscious mind is logical in its own way. If it accepts the idea that wealth is shameful, it will do everything in its power to keep you from attaining it. You cannot spend your days cursing success and then expect your inner self to willingly guide you toward it. If you truly believe you are worth abundance, begin to speak of abundance differently. Do not worship it, but do not despise it. See it as a tool, a result of value given, a responsibility that must be handled with character. When you see a man who has built something with patience, skill, and persistence, do not tell yourself, he must have cheated. Tell yourself, he must have persisted. There are principles there I can learn. This does not mean you close your eyes to injustice. It means you stop using another man's faults as an excuse to stay small. Your sense of worth must be big enough to imagine yourself prosperous without guilt. There is another subtle form of self-sabotage you must confront. The habit of stopping just before the threshold. How many times have you come close to a breakthrough, only to grow careless, distracted, or strangely tired? You work diligently, progress appears. And then, at the moment when continued effort would elevate you, you disappear into some lesser activity. This is not laziness alone. It is fear of stepping into a level of life you secretly believe you do not deserve. Your mind says, if I stop now, I never have to answer the question of whether I am truly worthy of that next level. So you protect yourself by staying almost successful. To break this pattern, you must recognize those critical moments when you are tempted to retreat. When you feel that familiar urge to abandon your path right as it becomes demanding, pause and speak plainly to yourself. This is the place I usually turn back. This is the line I draw between who I am and who I could be. I will not turn back this time. I am worth seeing what is beyond this discomfort. Then take one more step than you usually would. Complete one more hour of focused work. Make one more call. Finish one more page. You are not trying to conquer the entire future in that moment. You are simply proving to yourself that the old line can be crossed. Real belief in your worth expresses itself in what you are willing to learn. A man who thinks little of himself says, "This is just how I am," and uses that statement to avoid growth. He will not study, will not practice, will not ask questions that might reveal his ignorance because he has decided there is no use. He wears his limitations like a badge. A man who knows he is worth more refuses that posture. He says, "I may not know yet, but I can learn. My mind is capable. My time is valuable enough to invest in skill." He sits with books, lessons, and mentors, not because he enjoys being a beginner, but because he knows remaining unskilled is a greater insult to his worth than the temporary discomfort of learning. Apply this to your own life. In the areas where you desire improvement, in craft, in business, in relationships, in leadership, have you studied as if your future depends upon it? Or have you assumed that desire alone should be enough, and then declared yourself unlucky when results fail to appear? Desire without study is not a sign of worth, it is a sign of wishfulness. To decide you are worthy is to decide you will equip yourself. When you hold a book in your hand, when you practice a skill after others have gone to rest, when you reflect on your mistakes and search for their lessons, you are sending a message inward. I expect to use this. I expect to rise. I treat my future as real. You must also change the way you handle setbacks. A man who secretly doubts his worth uses every setback as a verdict. I knew it. This proves I am not meant for more. With such a man, even a small difficulty can end a great attempt. He folds, not because the obstacle is unbeatable, but because it confirms the story he already believes about himself. A man who has decided he is worth success uses setbacks as signals. He asks, "What is this trying to teach me? Where must I grow sharper, stronger, more disciplined?" He treats each obstacle as a tutor, not a judge. He may feel frustration, but he does not stay in it. He converts it into instruction. Consider two men who both face the same failure. A deal falls through, a venture collapses, a plan misfires. The first says, "This always happens to me. I am not cut out for this." He withdraws, seeks distraction, and tells stories about how the world is unfair. The second says, "This is painful, but I am not finished. If I am worth success, I am worth the effort of learning why this happened." He studies the sequence of events, his own decisions, the missing skills, the blind spots. He adjusts his approach and returns to the field. Over years, the first man becomes bitter and confirms his belief in his own unworthiness. The second man becomes wise and confirms his belief in his capacity. The difference between them is not fate, it is the way they interpreted the same blow. Do not mistake self-pity for self-respect. They are enemies. Self-pity says, "Look how much I suffer, the world owes me ease." Self-respect says, "Look how much I have survived, I owe it to myself to continue." Self-pity keeps a man nailed to his present story. Self-respect compels him to write a better one. When you catch yourself rehearsing your injuries, stop and ask, am I telling this story to excuse my stagnation or to extract a lesson? If there is a lesson, learn it and move on. If there is none, stop telling it. A man who believes he is worthy of a great future does not spend his life defending his past. Turning now to the subject of asking, understand that you will always ask the world in proportion to what you believe about your worth. A man who thinks little of himself asks little. He requests the smallest wage he can survive on, the lowest position he can tolerate, the bare minimum respect he can live with. He does this because he fears rejection more than he desires growth. To ask for more would expose him to the possibility of hearing no, and he has linked refusal with humiliation. So he plays small and calls it being realistic. In truth, he is not protecting himself from rejection. He is rejecting himself in advance. A man who believes he is worthy of more does not demand without merit, but he does not apologize for asking in accordance with the value he offers. He studies his craft, strengthens his character, and then speaks plainly. This is the standard at which I work, and this is the compensation that matches it. If he is refused, he does not collapse. He evaluates, is this truly the environment where my value will be recognized? If not, he seeks another. He does not treat one refusal as eternal judgment. He understands that markets differ, people differ. Recognition may not come from the first door he knocks upon. His worth is not decided by the cheapest buyer. The same principle applies to your personal life. If you believe you are unworthy of respect, you will remain in relationships that prove it. You will tolerate neglect, insult, indifference because they match the level at which you secretly value yourself. You will even fight to stay where you are not honored, inventing excuses for others, because leaving would require you to confront your own lack of self-belief. A man who knows his worth does not rage or demand endless reassurances. He simply does not remain long where his dignity is consistently denied. He does not shout, "Value me." He quietly moves where he can give and receive value in truth. To bring all of these threads together, recognize that deciding you are worthy is not an emotion that comes and goes. It is a standard you choose and live by. It shapes how you wake, how you work, how you spend, how you study, how you endure, how you ask, how you accept, how you refuse. Each small act either reinforces or weakens that standard. You cannot control everything that happens around you, but you can absolutely control whether you meet it as a man who has decided his life is worth more than drift and self-contempt. Begin this very day with one firm declaration: I will not treat myself as cheap. Then watch your choices. When you are tempted to waste an hour, ask, is this how a man who values his future behaves? When you hear yourself speaking small, correcting others for daring to dream, pulling yourself down with bitter jokes, stop and say, I do not talk that way about a man I respect. When you encounter a setback, refuse to use it as proof of your unworthiness. Use it as proof that you are in motion, that you are in the arena, that you are still in the game. The world will begin to shift its response to you when you shift your response to yourself. This is not magic. It is law. Men and opportunities are drawn to those who carry themselves as if they have something of value to offer and are willing to develop it. They are repelled by those who approach everything as beggars, desperate to be chosen, unwilling to choose themselves. You can join the first group at any moment you decide you are done living as the second. In the end, you do not get what you casually wish for. You get what you deeply believe you are allowed to possess and are willing to work for. If you decide you are unworthy, the richest chances will appear poor to you. You will not even bend to pick them up. If you decide you are worthy, even small chances will be treated as seed and multiplied. The difference begins now in the quiet, invisible decision you make about the man you see in the mirror. The question is no longer, does the world think I deserve more? The only question that matters is, will I finally think so? If you are serious about deciding you are worth having the life you desire, you must understand how deeply this decision must penetrate your mind. It is not enough to entertain the thought once in a while when you are inspired. You must impress it upon your subconscious until it becomes the quiet background of your entire being. The conscious mind is where you choose. The subconscious is where that choice is enforced. You have spent years impressing unworthiness upon that inner chamber. Now you must spend days, weeks, months impressing a new verdict. I am worthy, and I will prove it. Your subconscious does not respond to occasional wishes. It responds to repetition mixed with emotion. Think of the sentences you have repeated most often in your private thoughts. I always ruin things. I never finish. Men like me do not get ahead. Nothing ever works out for me. You did not speak these once. You spoke them over and over, and you felt them. Each repetition was like tapping a chisel against stone. Over time, those taps carved out the deep grooves of your present self-image. That image now acts like a mold, shaping how you interpret every event. If you want a different outcome, you must reshape the mold. Begin by choosing new sentences that reflect the worth you are claiming. Not vague phrases, not airy flattery, but strong, specific declarations. I am worthy of success because I am willing to grow, to learn, and to pay the price in effort. I am worthy of opportunity because I prepare myself every day to handle it. I am worthy of abundance because I intend to use it wisely, not waste it. I am worthy of respect because I live in a way that respects my own conscience. At first, your old image will argue. It will whisper, "You are lying." Ignore it. You are not lying. You are issuing new orders. You must speak these declarations when your mind is most open, upon waking and before sleep. Those are the moments when the conscious guard is soft and impressions slip most easily into the subconscious. Do not mutter them carelessly as if reading a list. Speak them with steady feeling. See yourself acting in harmony with them. Feel for a few moments what it would be like if you truly walked through your days holding them as truth. You may feel foolish at first. That is only because you are not yet familiar with honoring yourself. Persist. The foolishness will vanish. The power will remain. Imagination must be brought under discipline as well. For years, you have used it to rehearse failure. You have pictured yourself being rejected, being laughed at, falling short, losing everything. You have played these scenes in your mind so many times that they feel natural. Without realizing it, you have been using imagination as a weapon against your own worth. Now you must teach it to work for you. Picture with detail and calm a version of yourself who believes he deserves the results he is working toward. Do not picture wild fantasies that bear no connection to your present path. Picture yourself in the same work, the same field, the same general life, but operating at a higher level. See yourself entering the room you once feared and feeling at ease. See yourself handling sums of money you once thought too much with steady responsibility. See yourself speaking when you would once have stayed silent, asking when you would once have hesitated, persisting where you would once have surrendered. You are not trying to escape reality. You are trying to train your inner sight to accept a larger version of you as normal. The key is to blend this inner work with outer action. A man who only imagines and affirms without changing his conduct is merely daydreaming in a louder voice. He is attempting to borrow the feeling of worth without earning any of it. That path leads to disappointment and cynicism. On the other hand, a man who only grinds in action without ever addressing his belief about himself will sabotage his own efforts at the threshold of success. You must combine both. Declare your worth inwardly and prove it outwardly. Let each effort during the day serve as evidence for the words you spoke in the morning and evening. One of the strongest proofs you can give yourself is consistency. Inconsistent effort tells your mind, I cannot be trusted to maintain what I start. That message will haunt you whenever an opportunity appears. You will fear that even if you seize it, you will not be able to sustain it. A man who has decided he is worthy of great results trains himself to be steady. This does not mean he works at the same intensity every moment. It means he does not disappear for long stretches to indulge his lower impulses. He returns to his chosen path again and again, even after a poor day. Think of consistency as a promise to your future self. When you remain faithful to your work today, even in small ways, you are sending strength forward. You are saying, when you arrive, you will not have to start from nothing. I have prepared some ground for you. When you neglect your work, you send weakness forward instead. You are saying, when you arrive, you must repair what I have neglected. Which message do you want to deliver to the man you will be 5 years from now? If you truly believe he is worthy of a strong position, give him that position by how you act today. Another dimension of worthiness is the way you relate to time. A man who feels unworthy treats time as something to be killed, filled, or avoided. He drifts through hours as if they are burdens to be escaped. He lives for distractions, for anything that will prevent him from facing his own unused potential. A man who knows his worth sees time as raw material. He understands that each hour, once spent, is gone forever. He therefore asks, is this use of my time worthy of the man I intend to become? This question does not mean he never rests or enjoys himself. It means even his rest is deliberate, chosen to restore him for the work that matters. Look at your own day as if you were an outsider. How much of it is spent in motion that leads nowhere? How much is given to conversations that leave you smaller, to habits that dull your mind, to obligations you accepted only because you feared saying no? If you truly believed you were worth a rich and meaningful life, would you allow so many of your hours to be stolen this way? If the answer is no, begin reclaiming them. Not with violence, but with clarity. Each time you choose to give an hour to something that strengthens you, you are voting again. My time is precious because I am. There is a profound connection between your sense of worth and your willingness to shoulder responsibility. A man who feels unworthy tries to avoid responsibility because he fears being exposed. He declines leadership, refuses challenges, hides behind others' decisions, and then complains that he is stuck. He does not see that his refusal to carry more is a declaration, I do not believe I can handle more. A man who believes he is worthy does not run from responsibility. He may feel the weight of it, he may proceed carefully, but he steps toward it because he understands that growth requires load. If you want life to trust you with greater rewards, wealth, influence, opportunity, you must first show that you can be trusted with greater responsibilities. This means you stop making excuses for slack work. It means you accept ownership for your results instead of blaming your surroundings. It means you no longer wait to be forced or reminded. You move on your own. Each time you say, this is my duty, and I will not leave it for someone else, you are proving to yourself, I am the kind of man who can be entrusted with more. That belief is far more valuable than any praise others could give you. Examine your relationship to promises. Do you casually agree to things and then quietly abandon them when they become inconvenient? Do you declare grand aims in a burst of emotion, only to let them fade as the feeling cools? Do you tell others what you will do and then hope they forget? These habits are not small. They teach your mind that your word has little value. If your own mind concludes that your word is weak, how can you expect it to support you when you declare a new goal? It will simply say, we have heard this before. To rebuild trust in your own word, you must begin by promising less and delivering more. Instead of announcing 10 new aims, choose one small, clear commitment and keep it without fail. Once you have done that for some time, add another. Over weeks, you will begin to feel a subtle change when you say, I will. You will sense that your inner self believes you. That inner belief will give power to your desires. You will no longer feel like a child making wishes. You will feel like a builder giving orders. Now consider how your sense of worth affects the scale of your thinking. A man who feels unworthy shrinks his dreams to avoid the pain of wanting more. He tells himself that grand visions are foolish, that he should know his place. He may call this wisdom, but it is surrender. Another man with the same outer resources allows himself to think in larger terms. He asks, how could I multiply my value? How could I serve at a higher level? How could I create something that benefits more people, solves larger problems, opens bigger doors? The difference between them is not intelligence, it is permission. One has given himself permission to think as a builder, the other has not. You may have been warned against thinking too big. That warning did not come from the laws of success. It came from the fears of those who never challenge their own limits. Thinking big does not mean indulging in fantasies detached from effort and reality. It means allowing yourself to consider what might be possible if you truly lived up to your potential. It means rejecting the assumption that you must always stay at the same level you occupy today. When you decide you are worthy of growth, you no longer treat your present conditions as a cage. You treat them as a starting point. There is another test. How do you respond when you meet those who have more than you, more skill, more discipline, more results? A man who feels unworthy either resents them or worships them. He says they must be lucky, or they are special and I am not. In both cases, he places them on a separate level that he cannot reach. A man who knows his worth neither despises nor idolizes such individuals. He studies them. He asks, what principles are they applying? What habits do they practice? What beliefs do they hold about themselves and the world? He learns not as a beggar hoping for crumbs, but as a peer in training. He says silently, if one man can develop these qualities, another can too. I will pay the same price. Recognize that you will never rise above the ceiling of your expectation. If deep down you expect little, little will be all you can see. Opportunities will appear, but you will not recognize them as yours. You will stand beside them and say, that is interesting, then walk away. If you expect more, not as a wild demand, but as a calm assumption that your effort and belief will bear fruit, you will begin to notice more. A door that once looked closed will reveal a handle. A person who once seemed unreachable will become approachable. It is not the world that has changed. It is what you are willing to see yourself as part of. You must understand that worthiness is not a feeling that floats in the air. It is an alignment between who you believe you are and how you behave. The more closely your behavior matches your highest idea of yourself, the more worthy you feel. The more you betray that idea with laziness, dishonesty, or cowardice, the more unworthy you feel. This is why you cannot trick your way into lasting confidence. You can puff yourself up for a day with fine words and proud poses, but if your conduct contradicts them, the feeling will collapse. Real worth is built from the inside out, action by action. Ask yourself directly, in what specific ways is my daily behavior unworthy of the life I say I want? Do I waste the hours I claim are precious? Do I speak in ways that tear down the man I am trying to build? Do I tolerate relationships that feed my doubt? Do I handle money carelessly while declaring I want more? Do I choose comfort over discipline when I know discipline would serve me? Do I demand results I have not prepared for? These questions are not meant to condemn you, they are meant to show you where to aim your next efforts. Once you see a gap, fill it with one concrete change. If you want to prove you are worth a higher level of work, start by giving more than is expected where you are now. If you want to prove you are worth better health, start by treating your body as an instrument, not a dumping ground. If you want to prove you are worth financial abundance, start by managing the coins in your hand with respect instead of carelessness. If you want to prove you are worth trust, start by being the first one you can rely on. Every small correction sends a message. I am upgrading the way I live because I am upgrading what I believe about myself. As you do this, something subtle but profound will happen. The things you once called too good for you will begin to look natural. You will no longer stand at the window of life, peering in at the banquet prepared for others. You will understand that no one was ever truly invited in the way you imagined. Men entered because they decided they would bring enough value to belong in that room. They came in humble, perhaps, but determined. They honored themselves enough to prepare, to knock, to persist until the door opened. You can reach the same point. There is no decree written in the sky that says abundance, growth, and fulfillment are for others, but not for you. The decree that has limited you so far has been written only in your own thoughts. You have the power to write a new one. It will not change your life in a day, but it will change the direction of your life in a moment. And when you change direction, time becomes your ally instead of your enemy. Each year lived in alignment with a higher sense of worth multiplies. Each year lived in denial of that worth diminishes. You can get everything you truly want, but only after you decide you are worth what you are asking for and prove that decision in how you think, speak, work, and endure. This is not a license for greed, it is a call to responsibility. If you want great things, you must become great in character. If you desire rich rewards, you must cultivate a rich mind, rich habits, rich discipline. The world in the end delivers to each man a harvest that reflects both his belief and his behavior. When those two align on the side of worthiness, there is very little he cannot grow. There is a final truth you must face if you truly intend to live by the law we have been circling. You cannot receive more from life than you are willing to become for life. You can repeat, I am worthy 1,000 times, but if you demand everything and give little, your own conscience will rebel. Deep inside, you know when you are asking for harvest without planting, credit without work, respect without character. That inner knowledge is what robs you of the feeling of worthiness. It is not that life is cruel, it is that your own soul refuses to let you rest on a lie. So if you truly want everything you desire, begin by asking yourself, what kind of man would naturally live that life? Not by luck, not by sudden miracle, but by right of who he has become. Picture him simply. How does he carry himself? How does he handle difficulty? How does he treat other people, especially those who cannot benefit him? How does he work when no one is looking? How does he use his money, his time, his mind? That man is not a fantasy. He is a blueprint. He is the proof that you already know what is required. The question is no longer, what do I want to have? The question is, will I become the man who deserves to have it? Once you see this clearly, your entire approach to desire changes. You stop wondering, why does life not give me what I want, and begin asking, where am I still below the standard of the man who would naturally attract what I want? This is not self-condemnation. It is self-honesty. You may see that your temper is still uncontrolled, that your discipline is still fragile, that your habits with money are still careless, that your words are still loose. Good. Now you know where to work. You are not being punished. You are being shown the parts of yourself that cannot yet carry the weight of the future you ask for. Understand that every desire you hold carries a hidden demand for transformation. You say, I want wealth. Life answers. Then you must become a man who can manage, grow, and steward wealth without destroying himself. You say, I want influence. Life answers. Then you must become a man whose character does not crumble when people begin to listen to him. You say, I want freedom. Life answers. Then you must become a man who can govern himself, or your freedom will turn into chaos. When you decide you are worth those things, you are also saying, I am worth the work of becoming the man who can handle them. You cannot cling to your current weaknesses and still claim the feeling of worthiness for a higher life. Something must be surrendered. Perhaps it is the habit of speaking negatively about yourself. Perhaps it is the comfort of blaming others for everything. Perhaps it is a secret indulgence that drains your energy and fills you with quiet shame. Perhaps it is the company of those who pull you down, the laziness you excuse with clever words, the pride that refuses to admit ignorance. All of these things may feel familiar, even dear, but they are incompatible with the man you want to become. To decide you are worthy is to decide you will gradually let them go. Do not be deceived by the idea that you must become perfect before you can feel worthy of anything. That thinking is another form of delay. Worthiness is not the prize at the end of the journey. It is the strength that allows you to walk it. You do not wait until you are strong to pick up a weight. You pick up a weight to become strong. In the same way, you do not wait until you are flawless to treat yourself as a man of worth. You decide you are worthy of the effort, of the discipline, of the patience required to improve. As you act in harmony with that decision, your sense of worth grows. You must also learn to work with mercy toward your own past. A man who secretly believes he is ruined by what he has done cannot rise. He may speak of change, but his heart is still chained to old failures. He sees every new opportunity through the stain of what he has been. When he looks ahead, he says, perhaps others can become more, but I have thrown away my chance. That judgment is more crippling than any mistake he has made. Life is not storing up your missteps to use them against you. You are. You are the one holding court in your own mind, replaying the evidence, always delivering the same sentence, guilty, unworthy, condemned to smallness. If you want to step into a greater life, you must suspend that trial. You must accept that every man who has achieved anything of worth carries a trail of errors behind him. The difference is that he decided to use his errors as training instead of as chains. He said, yes, I did that. Yes, I failed there. Yes, I wasted time. But I choose to believe that those experiences, painful as they were, can be turned into understanding. I will not let them convince me I am beyond growth. I will let them convince me I must grow. When you take this stance, your past ceases to be a weapon against your worth and becomes a resource for your wisdom. One practical way to do this is to sit down with your worst memories and rewrite their meaning. Not the facts, those stand, but your conclusions. Where you have been saying, this proves I am unworthy, write instead, this proves I was unprepared, unaware, undisciplined. Those are conditions, not identities. Conditions can be changed. Identity is chosen. Then ask, what did this experience teach me about myself, about others, about life? What strength could this pain produce if I refuse to waste it? Write the answers. In doing so, you are reclaiming power from your own history. You are telling your mind these events are not bars of a cage. They are stones in a foundation. Gratitude, rightly understood, is another demonstration of worthiness. A man who feels unworthy often swings between ingratitude and false humility. He curses his circumstances, resents the success of others, and yet when good comes to him, He shrinks from it as if he does not deserve to enjoy it. Or he mutters a shallow thanks while secretly waiting for it to be taken away. A man who knows his worth receives good things with steady thankfulness. He does not cling to them in fear, nor does he toss them aside carelessly. He says, I am grateful for this, and I will honor it by using it well. Begin to practice this with what you already have. When you sit to eat, do not devour absent-mindedly. Pause long enough to think, this is fuel for the man I am building. When someone trusts you with a task or a competence, do not treat it lightly. Think, this is a sign that my value is being recognized. I will honor it. When you receive payment for your labor, do not waste it in a burst of relief. Think, this represents a portion of my life converted into currency. I will allocate it in a way that respects my future. Every act of conscious gratitude reinforces the belief that you are not an accident in your own story, but an active, worthy participant. Now we turn to perhaps the most powerful proof of all, your willingness to contribute. A man who believes he is worthless often becomes obsessed with taking. He feels empty, so he grasps at whatever might fill the void. Attention, praise, pleasure, comfort. He becomes a drain on those around him. Then, ashamed of his own neediness, he sinks deeper into the belief that he is of little use. It is a vicious circle. A man who knows his worth understands that his value is realized in what he gives. He is not content merely to receive. He wants to produce, to create, to improve some corner of the world by passing through it. You may say, I have little to give. That is not true. You have time. You have attention. You have the ability to do your current work a little better than required. You have the power to speak a word that strengthens instead of weakens, to take a task off another's shoulders, to solve a problem instead of complaining about it. Every time you deliberately shift from asking, what can I get here, to asking, what can I contribute here, you elevate your sense of worth. You prove to yourself that you are not a mere consumer of life, but a contributor to it. This does not mean you become a martyr, forever giving and never receiving. That would again be a sign of unworthiness disguised as virtue. The belief that others deserve care but you do not. True contribution flows from a place of balance. You respect your own needs and boundaries even as you look for ways to be of service. You give in ways that align with your responsibilities and your future, not in ways that destroy them. When you live like this, you feel a quiet correctness, a sense that your existence is justified not by words but by works. That feeling is a deep and stable form of worthiness. Set a simple rule for yourself. Leave every place you enter better than you found it, if it is within your power to do so. That may mean leaving a room more orderly, a conversation more honest, a task more complete, a person more encouraged. These are small acts, but they accumulate. Over time, you begin to trust yourself. When I arrive, things improve. That trust is not arrogance. It is a realistic recognition of your influence. It strengthens your belief that you are meant to participate in the flow of good, not merely watch it pass you by. There is one more enemy of worthiness you must confront: comparison. As long as you measure your value by another man's journey, you will either feel superior or inferior, never equal and never at home in your own skin. A man who feels inferior says, I will never be like him, and uses that thought to shrink. A man who feels superior says, I am above him, and uses that thought to stop growing. In both cases, the focus is wrong. The only useful comparison is between who you were yesterday and who you are today. Are you honoring your own potential more fully? Are you keeping faith with your own standards more consistently? That is the measure that matters. If you truly believed you were worth the best you can be, you would stop insulting yourself by constantly placing your life on a scale against others. You do not know the full cost they paid, the sacrifices they made, the battles they fight in private. You see the surface and judge your depths by it. This is foolishness. Your task is not to mimic another man's path, but to fully inhabit your own. Life has not given you his mind, his experiences, his precise opportunities. It has given you yours. The question is, will you use them to their limit? You can get everything you want in the sense that you can become a man for whom those desires are natural outcomes. But understand this, as you grow, your desires will change. Many of the things you crave now are symptoms of not feeling worthy. You imagine that if you had certain signs of success, certain possessions, certain attention, certain status, then you would finally believe in yourself. That is backward. If you develop true self-worth, many of those cravings will fall away of their own accord. You will still desire abundance, but as a tool, not as a bandage. You will still desire respect, but as a reflection of genuine character, not as a mask hiding emptiness. So do not be surprised if, as you strengthen your sense of worth, some of the goals you set in your lesser days no longer attract you. That is not failure, that is purification. You are moving from wanting to be seen as valuable to actually being valuable. The desires that remain after this purification are the ones that belong to your true nature, not to your wounded pride. Those are the desires that life is most eager to cooperate with because they are aligned with growth, contribution, and order. Bring this all down to today. You do not need to wait for a special moment to begin. You can start, even now, with 3 commitments. First, you will no longer speak against yourself. Jokes that belittle you, complaints that portray you as helpless, labels that reduce you, throw them out. Replace them with plain, firm language that reflects your decision to grow. Not empty boasting, but sentences such as, I am learning, I am improving, I am responsible, I am capable of more than my past shows. Second, you will treat your next hour as evidence. Choose one action that a man who believes in his own worth would take. Finishing a task, cleaning a space, studying a principle, mending a mistake, refusing a temptation, and do it fully. Then say to yourself, this is who I am becoming. Each such hour is a stone in the structure of your new life. Third, you will begin and end each day with a quiet agreement between you and your own soul. I am worth the discipline it takes to honor my potential. I am worth the patience it takes to grow slowly. I am worth the forgiveness it takes to rise after failure. I am worth the courage it takes to ask for more. Do not rush through these words. Let them sink. They may feel strange at first, but they are truer than the insults you have believed for years. In time, you will notice that your outer world starts to mirror this inner shift. Opportunities you once ignored will catch your eye. People will respond differently to your presence. The quality of your work will improve, and with it, the quality of your rewards. You will find yourself saying no to things that once ruled you, and yes to challenges that once frightened you. You will realize, perhaps with astonishment, that the distance between who you were and who you are has grown wide, and that you crossed it not by chance, but by decision. You can get everything you truly want, but only after you decide that you are, at this very moment, worth the effort it takes to pursue it honestly. That decision will not erase struggle. It will not remove all pain. It will not spare you from delay. But it will give you a solid place to stand while you face those things. It will end the civil war inside you between desire and doubt. It will align your mind, your heart, your habits, and your future. In the quiet after these words, you are left alone with one question that no one else can answer for you. Do I believe I am worth a life that matches the best of what I can imagine and the best of what I can give? If your answer is yes, even a trembling yes, then begin to act like it in the next breath. Because the moment you decide you are worthy, you stop begging life to be kind and start collaborating with it. You stop reaching out with empty hands and start building with full ones. You stop waiting for permission and start living as the man you were always meant to be.